Okay, listen. Okay, firstly, the fall of the empire reaches the Mongols, which have barely adapted, but they will do anything about that. There's some imperial garrisons currently. The Baloch and those guys eventually form the League of Perses. The League of Perses, this would be known as the Persian League, or the Bactrian League. Some call it the Bactrian League, some call it Persian League, This league, the main goal is to move in. Meanwhile, in the sultanate of Delhi, the Chola kingdoms, the Chola here, this kingdom, along with that, these areas start a naval invasion and do anything before the Chola's puppet states come. They eventually strike, and eventually they make a peace treaty where this is, and well, eventually, as Chola forces move up into India, some Delhi Sultanate resistance and one of the sons of the Delhi Sultanate decides to rise up here and launch an attack on the capital itself. With the Delhi Sultanate eventually reaching Nepal. The reaching of Nepal would be a serious event. The integration with this, a large chunk of Nepal decides to unite in this area. At least the country was split into Nepal in this area with the Himalayan kingdoms. With this, the Tibetan monarchs, who mainly gained it due to their social welfare projects during the CIS rule, decide to establish their own hegemony across here and start moving into the other free states, into Myanmar, before most of them can even really react. But the Dheli area, eventually the two sides will meet, and this area is eventually returned to the Delhi Sultanate. This area gets also conquered. Meanwhile, Kalinga, realizing what's happening, declares independence. I think this area is Kalinga. They quickly capture this and start fighting with the Delhi areas. But the fact is, the imperial areas are the most modernized militarily, and civilianly not so much. But plus, the imperial garrison is starting to die of disease. The Greek Republic quickly takes a halt and destroys the enemy navies, as basically only locals really know how to do boats. The Greek Republic renames itself to the Hellenic Republic of the Romans, establishing the Roman Republic. This would be an indirect declaration the Sicilian Roman Empire will take this decision not very lightly. And do you know what that means? The Mediterranean War. The Sicilians have the Holy Roman Empire, specifically the Western Holy Roman Empire faction. Eventually these guys declare start a revolt against the Holy Roman Empire. Against the Holy Roman Empire here. The Pope doesn't care anymore because of Sicilian overexpansion and naturally wanting to be subsumed by the Sicilians. The new Pope declares independence from the Sicilians, and they can't really do anything about it. Because practically their whole established the rule in these few hours, in this period, was practically nothing. The Papal States regained its independence. Meanwhile, the Venetian exiles, which were mainly a large aiding force, decided to move into Venice, and they would restart the Republic bigger and larger than ever. This time the Venetian Republic is a military dictatorship. It's ruled by meritocratic rules. Meanwhile, French resistance movement Meanwhile, in England there are some underground resistance movements, especially in Scotland. So the Scots rise up. The Scottish resistance movement is able to quickly take over mass amounts of land, including Cumbria, which eventually becomes a strong area of the Scots, of Scotland, of Scotia. Scotland is but the fact is, the native areas don't have really any large amounts to build up. Well, except for Teotihuacan and the surrounding areas. The Toltec is these. I think 7. Toltec. Okay, got it. So basically, the Toltecs are not existing by this point. They don't control those areas then. Puperichio and those tribes. Eventually we'll have the Puperichio tribesmen eventually unite most of the area into the region, establishing the Puperichio Empire. Meanwhile, the three leagues a massive Mexica revolt rises up. with the Mexica eventually starting and their own empire, starting serious expansion, and the Toltec and these areas also break free. Along with this, I want to. These new with some Maya, due to having some resistance movements down south with their weird creek things. If it does anybody like yeah, those here Maya creek things. What the fuck? Water. Institute of Water. Yeah, this. Yeah, I'm talking about this. Yes, those sultanates were basically resistance areas, and the CIA is finally following this resistance, which practically just halted until the CIA fell, planning to restart civilization there. The Sicilians eventually realized that Morocco declared war on them for Tunis, and they actually start to fail as they don't really have a very good land military. I mean, like, they have pretty experienced troops, but so does Morocco. Meanwhile, in Spain, the Portuguese started a revolution, declared independence, and actually moved up into Galicia. Eventually into Spain. With these areas, combat here would start to really suck. So the Sicilians would strike, but Catalans. But the Catalans also decided to make their own debut, along with a lot of Castilian troops who decide to mutiny against the Sicilians, which are really few in numbers compared to Morocco, have very good experience. Eventually Castile overpowers them, and the Sicilians realize that their strategy doesn't work, with these events being absolutely crazy as Leon declares independence from Portugal, from the Kingdom of Portugal and Galicia. The city-state of San Marino actually takes advantage of this and takes over some Sicilian areas, basically here, expanding its hold, with the Republic of San Marino now being way stronger than usual. They would eventually start building a gap there in the new realm, the San Marino realm. Meanwhile, here these small cities have after many sieges fallen. They've practically been ignored basically, and that's how they were able to survive. Meanwhile, the Republic actually realizes what's happening and decides to move in a bit into the area, capturing. The Republic captures China. no, certain northern China, not the main China area, or central or no, even southern China. So China is mostly left alone. The revolts are lingering, but it's not really anything big. So the Republic is coming in. There's a lot of things happening. I think you people can hear.